The House will be in order. The Chair lays before the House communication from the Speaker.
The Speaker's Rooms, Washington, D.C., September 25, 2013. I hereby appoint the Honorable Carrie L. Bentivoglio to act as Speaker pro tempore on this day. Signed, John A. Boehner, Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Pursuant to the order of the House of January 3, 2013, the Chair will now recognize members from lists submitted by the majority and minority leaders for morning hour debate. The Chair will alternate recognition between the parties, with each party limited to 1 hour, and each member other than the majority and minority leaders and the majority whip limited to 5 minutes each. But in no event shall debate continue beyond 1:50 p.m. The Chair recognizes the gentleman from Michigan, Mr. Kildee, for 5 minutes.
Morning, sir.
Morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I want to thank other members of this body. In less than a week, 72 members representing the House and the Senate, have joined me in the campaign to free Amir Hekmati from prison in Iran. Joined the Free Amir campaign. This has been a strong bipartisan effort. We know there's not a lot that's happening in this House right now that happens on a bipartisan basis, but this is something that members of the House on both sides of the aisle and all Americans can join together to do, take a tangible step to help free my constituent who is being held in an Iranian prison on false charges. Every day Americans are speaking up because it's something that they can actually do to make a difference through the social media, through Twitter. Thousands of tweets calling on Iranian President Hassan Rouhani to release Amir Hekmati have gone out. While he is in New York at the UN General Assembly, and we know that the Iranian government monitors social media, participates in social media, so we know that the message is getting through to them. It's a powerful tool and one that all Americans can engage in to help with this important cause. I was sent here to fight for my constituents, to work on their behalf, and that includes Amir Hekmati. Amir is a U.S. Marine, former Marine, who served his country well, went to visit his family in Iran. He is of Iranian descent, born and raised here in the U.S., a constituent of mine in Flint, Michigan. He went to visit his family and was arrested, tried, and convicted on false charges as a result. So what we're now seeking to do is to encourage the Iranian government, as it makes overtures to the global community, to take a tangible step in coming toward the international community by doing what's right in releasing Amir. We've had tangible support here from Congress. 112 of my colleagues signed a letter to Secretary Kerry asking him to elevate this case, and he responded and spoke out, calling upon the Iranian government to release my constituent, Amir Hekmati. Ambassador Samantha Power, our representative to the United Nations, tweeted shortly after I sent her a letter, sent out a tweet of her own calling on the Iranian government to release Amir and the other Americans being unjustly held. It's time for Iran to do more than just talk. If Iran and the President Rouhani is looking for a tangible demonstration that he is serious about re-engaging the global community, re-emerging as a nation among nations, then he can do what's right and release my constituent. The other day he said he wanted to bring peace and friendship from the Iranian people to the Americans. The American people have responded by asking for that important, critical, concrete step in the name of friendship, in the name of peace, and that is to release Amir. It would demonstrate to all Americans and to the global community that this is not just a matter of words, but it's a matter of action. And the only way I think that we as a global society and certainly as the American government can accept Iran's request to rejoin the international community is if it does something more than just say they want to join, but actually takes an important step. I will continue this fight. We will not stop. The family of Amir Hekmati will not stop. Democrats and Republicans in the House and in the Senate will not stop. The American government will not stop until Amir is free. I take this as my personal challenge, as a personal responsibility, as the member of Congress representing this family, but I think we all as Americans can join this fight to free Amir Hekmati and to bring him home to his family. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I ask, is that members of the House and the public join this cause and help free Amir. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Connecticut, Mr. Courtney, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, yesterday in Groton, Connecticut, which is a community right on Long Island Sound, the Day newspaper of New London hosted a job fair for the surrounding area, which I had the opportunity to attend for about an hour or so. And the good news is that there were 16 companies that were there, employers who had job openings, who, again, were anxious to use the job fair as a chance to meet face-to-face with folks who attended. The distressing news, though, was that there were over 800 people who showed up for the event. The line wound out from the ballroom of the Groton Inn and Suites through the lobby and into the sidewalk and into the parking lot. And clearly, if anyone who was attending there, it was quite obvious that there was not even close to the number of openings to match up with the number of people who were in attendance. As I said, I had a chance to visit for a while, walked around, talked to a number of people, and was struck by the fact that the number one question on people's minds, who, again, were carrying heavy burdens, some of them who had been out of work for as much as 18 months, 2 years, a lot of young people who just graduated from college carrying student loans, anxious to try and, again, get a start in life and a way to pay the bills. The question was, well, is Congress going to shut down the government? And it seemed sort of a little bit out of sync with the reality of what was going on in the room. But in fact, thinking about it, I mean, it's very clear that the people there understood instinctively that a government shutdown in roughly 8 or 9 days is exactly the wrong thing that the U.S. economy needs right now, particularly in terms of fostering job growth and giving people confidence about the future. That event, compounded by a debt limit showdown, which now the Treasury Department announced this morning that on October 17th, the borrowing authority of the U.S. Treasury, the full faith and credit of our country, is actually going to expire in terms of being able to pay the bills for our nation, whether it's our troops over in Afghanistan, whether it's the folks who protect us at our airports, whether it's the FBI, the Coast Guard, which, again, my district is home of the Coast Guard Academy. The notion that, again, our nation, which has always honored its full faith and credit over the 230-plus years of its history, would somehow be put into doubt is, again, another one of these self-inflicted body blows that this institution is on the verge of inflicting, again, on a very fragile economy. Again, when you looked in the faces of the people who were at that job fair yesterday, again, I'm very proud of the fact that I come from a state with a very high educational attainment levels, really in the top 5 in the country. You know, what was clear is that you were talking to people who, again, were in many instances very experienced employees working in manufacturing, pharmaceutical, retail businesses, many of them, again, with certainly strong educational backgrounds with college degrees and post-college degrees. They're ready. They're ready to go out and support themselves and their families. And, you know, talking to them about food stamps or, you know, this type of public assistance or that type of public assistance, that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for an economy that has, again, a horizon so that employers and budget makers and individuals who, again, are so critical in terms of investment decisions in this country are going to have confidence about the fact that, again, we're not going to capsize the world's financial markets by basically threatening the value of U.S. Treasury bonds, which is still the #1 security in the world today. The question is whether in a month's time that's still going to be the case. It is time for this institution to start focusing on what people really get up and worry about every single day, which is about jobs, the economy, and the future of their families. Don't want to end on a totally depressing note, and I want to end on a positive note. In the first week of August, I had the privilege to be at the Oval Office for a bill signing on the student loan legislation, which cut the interest rates from the Stafford Student Loan Program from 6.8% to 3.8%. Again, as a member of the Education Committee, this is an issue I've been working on for a number of years. It was a hard-fought compromise to get that measure to the President's desk in August. We'll save thousands of dollars for middle-class families and for students who are going to college. But the fact is that we were standing there behind President Obama with the Republican chairman of the Education Committee to my left, the independent senator from Maine, Angus King, to my right, and other Democrats and Republicans who were in the room. I mean, the fact of the matter is that event showed that when we do our duty in this institution, when people actually recognize that we're not here as part of a debate club, we're not here to read Green Eggs and Ham like the circus that's going on over in the Senate right now, but that we're here to do our work and to pass measures to protect America's middle class. Let's get the jobs of this country growing again. Let's pass a budget. Let's protect America's full faith and credit in the next couple of weeks or so, and then this economy is poised to grow, and we're going to help those people who were lined up yesterday in Groton, Connecticut. I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman's time has expired. The chair lays before the House a communication.
The Honorable the Speaker, House of Representatives, Sir. Pursuant to the permission granted in Clause 2H of Rule 2 of the Rules of the U.S. House of Representatives, the clerk received the following message from the Secretary of the Senate on September 24th, 2013 at 11:48 a.m. that the Senate passed with amendments H.R. 1412. With best wishes, I am, signed sincerely, Karen L. Haas.
Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the chair declares the House in recess until 2 p.m. today.
And the House gavels back in briefly at 2 o'clock Eastern today. Legislative work begins at 5 o'clock. 4 bills on the agenda today, including one that deals with the federal helium reserves. The House this week awaiting Senate action on the continuing resolution, or the CR, that funds the federal government, passed September 30th. The House leadership warned of a possible weekend session if the Senate sends back a modified CR. House Republicans might also consider legislation later this week that would tie a 1-year increase in the debt limit with a 1-year delay of the health care law. That ceiling expected to be reached on October 17th, according to Treasury Secretary Jack Lew. Our live coverage of the House always right here on C-SPAN. We also plan to bring you live coverage of a news conference scheduled for later this afternoon. House